So a couple of weeks ago, I was painting a project and then I totally forgot to wash my paintbrush. And this is what I ended up with. It's a nice hard paintbrush, and it also happens to be my absolute favorite paintbrush. So I really want to salvage this. So I asked my Instagram audience if they had ideas on how I could clean my paintbrush. And to be honest, I was expecting one golden technique that would be a sure shot way to clean the paintbrush. But to my surprise, I got a whole bunch of answers ranging from vinegar and laundry detergent to Goo Gone and so many ideas. So I thought that this is a great opportunity to do a little experiment. So I've got a bunch of these cheap paintbrushes. We're gonna dip these in paint, let them dry, and we're gonna try a whole bunch of ideas that people claim to work. Let's put it to the test. I'm using latex paint because that's the paint that I most often use in all of my projects. I dipped the paintbrushes and laid them out on a silicone mat, and I just let them out to dry over an entire weekend, basically until they were all dried up. All right, it has been a couple of days and all of these paintbrushes have dried. So all the paint is nice and hard. And now we can start to have some fun in trying to figure out how to clean all of these up. So I did a little bit of research online as well as took into account all the suggestions I got from the audience on Instagram. And I narrowed down the things that I want to test to 7 items. And I picked these specifically because they're nothing special. They're common household items that you probably already have in your home, or you can find them easily in any store. So the candidates are vinegar, laundry detergent, Simple Green, Murphy's oil soap, Dawn dish soap, rubbing alcohol, and Goo Gone. So let's start the fun project. The first thing I did was put a number on all of the brushes so that I can keep track of which brush went into which liquid. And I also labeled each of the cup with a number and the liquid that was going into it. Okay, so first up, we've got warm vinegar, which I warmed up in the microwave and then poured it into the cup and dipped the brush into it. Next, we've got Goo Gone, rubbing alcohol, Simple Green, a 1:3 mixture of liquid detergent and water, a 1:3 mixture of Dawn dish soap and water, and Murphy's oil soap. Since rubbing alcohol can evaporate quickly, I covered that with a plastic film. Okay, so it has been about an hour, 20 minutes, so about 80 minutes. Now let's take a look at how these are doing. So the first one here is vinegar, and you can see that the bristles are bending. They're a little bit softer than they used to be, so that's a good sign. Number 2 is Goo Gone, and you can see that this is very hard. The bristles are not bending at all. This is number 3. This is the rubbing alcohol, and you can see that these bristles are super soft. They're bending, and actually I think I see particles of paint in the water as well. So this is looking extremely promising. This is the Simple Green, and this is still hard. The bristles are still hard. It's not really bending. And then we have the laundry detergent, which is also pretty soft and bending, and I can see particles in the liquid there, but it's not as soft as the one with the alcohol, but it is pretty bendy and soft. Okay, and then this one's the Dawn dish soap, and this one's still pretty hard. Oh, it kind of bent a little bit, but it's still quite hard. And then we have the Murphy's soap, which is a little bit softer. It's not super hard, but it's not soft. So I think this just needs a lot more thing. When I pick it up, I can actually see white stuff coming out of the bristles. And what I read online was that Murphy's oil soap actually needs about 24 hours. So we're just gonna let this sit for a while. So overall, I'm going to just let all of this sit for another hour maybe and come back and check on it. Okay, it's been 3 hours since we started. So all of these have been dipped in there for 3 hours. So let's take a quick look. This is soft. So it's pretty much like it was an hour and a half ago about. This is still pretty hard, the Goo Gone, not much difference. This one is looking really nice and soft, and I actually see a lot of paint coming out of the bristles as well. This is the alcohol. This is the simple green, still pretty hard. It's starting to soften up a little bit. This is the laundry soap, which is also pretty soft, and I can see some white stuff lingering around in the liquid, so it's doing something. And then this is the Dawn detergent. This has become softer now. And this is our Murphy's oil, which is still pretty much the same. So this is what we're going to do. Since the alcohol, the rubbing alcohol is doing so well, I'm going to take the rubbing alcohol, the vinegar, and the laundry detergent, and we're gonna go and wash these in the sink in water and see how they turn out. And the rest of them, we're just gonna leave them overnight. I tried my best to keep the brushes separate from each other as I took them out and took them over to the sink to wash them. So the first brush is the one that was in the warm vinegar, and it wasn't really quite coming off. The bristles were still pretty hard and tight, and I don't think it's going to clean up. Next up is the rubbing alcohol, and this washed off like a dream. I did have to rub it up a little bit, but the paint just fell off of the bristles really, really easily. A couple quick rinses and the brush was nice and clean. The brush in the laundry detergent did clean out better than the one in the vinegar, but it did still leave a lot to be desired. So, rubbing alcohol, a total winner in about 3 hours, and I suspect maybe 2.5 would have been enough, but in 3 hours it washed off really, really easily. Of course, this is a cheap brush, so the bristles are all over the place and coming apart, but I'm going to try this on my good brush and see how that works out. But rubbing alcohol is a winner right now. I am going to also go ahead and put these back into their solutions. So this one's the vinegar and the laundry detergent, and we're just going to leave it overnight and see how things look tomorrow morning. All right, my friends, it has been about 15 hours since we last checked it. So let's take a look at what everything looks like. So we're gonna start with number 1, which is vinegar. It is soft, but it doesn't feel any different than it did yesterday when I was washing it. But I wanna still wash it and see how it does. Then we have the Goo Gone. The Goo Gone, still pretty hard, no real change. So I think this one is a failure. Then we have Simple Green, which actually, if you look at here, it's kind of become soft. It's become much softer. Of course, all the green has absorbed into the handle over here, but it has definitely become soft. So I'm interested to see what happens when I wash it. This one is the laundry detergent, and you can see it's pretty soft, and let's see what happens when we wash this. And then we have the dish soap, the Dawn dish soap, which has definitely become softer, but it's still pretty stiff, and I don't have a lot of hopes for it. And also, it started to rust. And then we have the Murphy's oil soap, which is definitely softer, but it's not really coming out, and I don't think it's going to clean out. But if it hasn't had any effect on the paint on the brush yet, I doubt it's going to. I mean, I don't want a solution that's going to take more than overnight to clean my brushes. And the truth really is that we've already found our winning solution, which was the rubbing alcohol. It's nice and clean and soft. But I'm going to go ahead and wash all of these, and let's just see how they turn out. So first up, the Murphy's oil soap, no effect at all. And this one is the Dawn dish soap, which is also having zero effect. And then this next one is the laundry detergent, which is sort of coming out. You can sort of pull it all out in pieces, which you could possibly clean it all up, but it will definitely take a lot of effort. So after spending about 5 minutes washing this up, this is the final result. And the next one is Simple Green, which the bristles are pretty soft, but the paint really didn't come off. The next one is the one in the Goo Gone, which is not at all working. The bristles have sort of softened up, but there's nothing coming off of these bristles. And lastly, I have the vinegar, which really isn't very effective. It's not going to do much. Maybe adding new warm vinegar may have helped, but that's a lot more effort and it's really not coming off. So our winner most definitely, hands down, is rubbing alcohol. It took 1 hour of soaking and it was easy to clean off. And then the runner-up is the laundry detergent, because even though it isn't very clean, I think with just a little bit of elbow grease, you should be able to remove it. Of course, we did let it soak for overnight, but truly, the rubbing alcohol is the winner. So now I'm going to use my favorite brush, which I forgot to wash, and soak that in rubbing alcohol. And that would be a test of reproducibility of this experiment. So I soaked my brush in rubbing alcohol for about 2 hours and then took it over to the sink to wash it. And all of the paint melted away. This is a brush that has been dried for almost 3 weeks now, and I am absolutely blown away with how easy it was to clean it out. And there you go, my friends, my brush is nice and clean. So isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol is a most definite winner. And I think it also is a great option for when you need to just give your brush a little bit of a nice cleanse. You know how when you're using brushes a lot, it tends to build up a little bit of paint residue all around it. So you could just soak that in isopropyl alcohol and get that all cleaned up. I hope you had fun doing this experiment with me. It's always fun to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and what is really, really the best way to do something. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.